This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Final hour OverDrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan, TSN 1050, now up on TSN 2, of course, up on TSN Plus. As always, our buddy Steve Sands of NBC and the Golf Channel will join us here around the table in a few moments. We're looking forward to seeing Sandsy. Pierre LeBrun later in the hour on Edmonton tying things up last night. McDavid with a few assists, Draisaitl with a goal. Draisaitl's taking a beating out there.
Dude, he's playing awesome, though, man. I love the way he plays. I know you acknowledged him, how clutch he is and how he performs every night, but he just brings it.
Yeah, he does. You know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And, I have an appreciation for how they're handling the whole journey here.
Right.
And they are so close. Like Duffy said last hour, this is the closest they've been to a cup. They're 6 wins away from it.
Right.
And it'll be a massively missed opportunity if you don't get it. You got to go back to the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
it's so hard to win.
It's so hard to win, and you got to go back
to the
start.
finals. You were that close in the finals.
Well, just think about how long the Leafs have already been out. Just think about that.
It feels like an eternity since the last Leafs game.
Has it been a month?
Yeah, probably. It would have been late April, maybe the beginning of May.
Yeah, we're talking about a month away.
Yeah.
And you still be grinding every single night.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
Probably been a month.
Last night, that hit on Draisaitl, I don't know. Did that look like a butt end or not? I thought it.
He was complaining for it.
I thought he sold it a bit, but I thought it was a bit of a how's she doing here? Take this with you.
There's been a couple of those.
There's been. It's not a dirty and contentious series.
No,
but there is some battling.
But if you're
on.
Dallas, you look at Ben. His hit on Hyman, tries to push him over the boards. Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that? It's 4-2 at that point. The game's over. Ben's like, why wouldn't I try to take a piece?
Well, even Robertson on Bouchard there near the end, too. That was he hit him good.
Well, listen, if the clock's still running, remember Game 1 of the Florida series when
McIlroy.
Yeah, and he laid out Hedl. And he's like, I don't care if there's 3 seconds. There's 3 seconds. You got the puck. I'm going to lay a hit on you.
Exactly. That Bouchard, man, scored again. That guy is just racking up points
playing
as
really
a team, man.
He's playing really well. And, on the NHL side of things, that's what's going on. You see at the Memorial Cup last night, London beating Saginaw when great game, and Easton Cowan closed it, man. Cowan scores with 2 games left or 2 minutes left, and his points,
what an incredible season.
It's been an unbelievable season where it speaks to where the Leafs are in a different position now. But I remember watching Marner do that with the Knights, and Marner was more promoted and more well known because he was a 4th overall pick.
Right.
And the Leafs were terrible, so everyone was in tank mode. Yeah, you're like, well, I'm not watching P.A. Parento. I'm going to watch Mitch Marner and see is this guy the real deal. And I remember watching the Knights. I want to say they lost their first game of the OHL playoffs to Owen Sound, and I don't think they lost again the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Literally won that series in 5, sweep Memorial Cup. And, he was with Dvorak and Tkachuk, and I think Tkachuk scored either the OHL winner or the Memorial Cup winner. But Marner was phenomenal, and he was the MVP NHL next year. Cowan, OHL MVP. He's probably going to be the Memorial Cup MVP if they win. It's in other words, I guess what I'm getting at is if the Leafs were a rebuilding team, you'd be thinking that guy's playing next year and he's going to be the most talked about player in camp.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see him.
Don't you take the same approach as Mitch Marner, though, where he was a superstar in junior and he got to camp and it's very simple. You have a look to see if he's ready, and if he's not, you're going back to junior and make that decision quickly. Yeah. This year, he stuck around in training camp because I thought he deserved to. And if he doesn't do the same, you go back to junior. The question is, what the hell's left for him to prove in junior hockey? He had a 50-game point streak or something. MVP this, MVP that. That's a situation where if he can't play for the Leafs, it would make sense that he would play in the American Hockey League.
Well, that's where they should adjust the rule.
I would like that rule adjusted.
That's ideal.
Because now, correct me if I'm wrong, will Cowan be a 19-year-old next year?
Yeah, I mean, he was drafted last year.
So, yeah, he's playing. See,
19 turning 20.
Mind if you're 19, there should be a rule where you can get him into the AHL for a bit. I know there's European players that can do that.
Absolutely.
But it just, if there's a guy who is probably too good for junior but not ready for the National Hockey League, the AHL you should be able to find a wedge or maybe a grandfather a rule in. It's like, hey, you can play 30 games for our AHL team. You know, like a half a season and get him there. That way he can go, if it's NHL, into World Junior, into AHL, and kind of have a hybrid season.
That would be the best case scenario.
Right?
That would be the best case scenario. I think, sending him to the World Juniors would not be a bad thing. He was a part of the World Junior team last year, and he played I wouldn't say a prominent role, but he played a role. He was a guy that was in the lineup every night.
Yeah.
But if he goes back next year, you're a star. Maybe you got a letter on your jersey. Probably would. You're a lock to make it. You don't even play in the exhibition games. Just go. Yeah. We need you. You're going to play a big role. I think that would be very beneficial to him. And, we'll see what the Leafs do throughout the summer as well. Like, ultimately, it's going to come down to their lineup. Do you have roles available? Do you have a position? What kind of camp does he have? Does he put on size? Does he put on speed? Because it can be up to him. Like, if Easton Cowan has an unbelievable summer, shows up to camp next year and is a rock star, and they look at him as someone that's ready for the NHL and someone that can help them, he should play.
Someone from the Leafs is going to tell him exactly what he needs to do.
Right.
Whether it's training, physical, mental. Here's all the tools you need to make the team come training camp. It just depends on whether he wants to execute and how badly he wants. The player is going to decide what happens.
And sometimes maybe physically you're just a little bit not ready. You need another 5-10 pounds. Now, in the league now, everyone's pretty lean and thin and not overly powerful, some guys. But he's going to write his own ticket. But if the Leafs are smart, which they are, they will not put him in a position. Now, there has been other guys. You can think of Montreal, Kotkaniemi or whatever. He wasn't ready to play in the NHL.
Yeah, he's still in the NHL.
But he's not, to me, he's a guy that is, I'd say this respectfully, but there's no way to say it. I think he's overrated. I
totally agree with that.
There's no disputing that.
Well, that's because Carolina are dopey, and they gave him an offer sheet.
Because they were pissed off. That's why.
Pissed off.
Because Aho and Montreal.
But playing too early. We talked about Slavkovsky playing a little bit early this year, but he's physically, I think I've told you guys,
he's a monster.
He's an absolute beast.
European, though, they could send him to the American Hockey League.
They could get him there. Here with Easton Cowan, it's either you're going back to junior, you're going to play in the NHL, but that's where I'd like to see a hybrid. Now, they can do that. You can bleed in 10 games or 9 games if you don't want it. That'll get you the first 6 weeks of the season.
I don't know what that really does for anybody. I mean, I don't know
Gives you a little taste.
Yeah, I guess so. And they did that with Fraser Minton last year, and maybe they look to do that. Maybe it's possible with Cowan. The thing is, how much are you really going to grow?
Yeah. What does the little taste do?
I don't know what that does. That's the thing. I don't know what it does. Like with Minton, remember, he had a great camp, and then they're like, all right, you're going to stay, and we're going to start you.
And then it just faded.
A few games later, it was like, actually, we got to take you out of the lineup. And you realize this guy's not going to stick around. So what is it really going to mean for the rest of his career? I'm not sure. Now, he deserved to go back, and I think that was the right play.
Right.
But based on what I've seen and my understanding, again, I'm not watching these kids play all the time, Cowan has separated from what Minton was.
Right.
Like, Cowan is literally winning MVP and putting up massive numbers, and he's the best player on probably the best team in the Canadian Hockey League. Like, that's pretty substantial what he's doing.
It is.
And again, a lot of it is you get labeled based on your draft, and where you get drafted, and that can go the wrong way. Like you mentioned with Kotkaniemi. He goes third overall. If he goes 23rd overall, he's going back to Finland, and then we'll see you down the road. But he goes third overall, so we're going to play you.
Yeah.
Slavkovsky, you're first, so now we feel obligated. We better play you.
Slide you into the lineup.
Yeah, but I think that can go the other way, too, where it's like, well, it's not like he's a top 5 pick. Well, he's playing like one right now.
Yeah.
Like the way he's played in the last calendar year, he looks like a guy that should have gone probably in the top 10 anyway.
But the team, if your team is good enough, you can protect him. That's where Montreal was still in the retool, and it's like, hey, here's a shiny new toy. Here, take a look at Kotkaniemi. Here's Slavkovsky. The Leafs are at a different. This is an older team, on paper. If the whole band came back, then it's older team, and you can slide in some young players. So the Leafs are at a different spot than, say, Montreal trying to force feed. If Cowan can play, they can get him in there, and they can also protect him because he doesn't have to be the guy.
But
they've got guys.
You're right. They don't have to be, but that's a good point in a subsection of all this is that you want him to be that.
Right.
Like right now, he's not. But if you develop him properly and you believe in him, in 5 years, he should be thinking, I can be the best player on this team.
I can go up the way.
And that's
lineup.
in the best interest for the Leafs. All right, we're live at the RBC Canadian Open, and the Golf Channel's up here, NBC. I'm not seeing a soft drink on the table right now.
Well, there's mine. If he wants to dump it on this
The
computer,
annual
it's
tradition,
all good,
our man Steve Sands joining us around the table. Sandsy? How are we doing, buddy? Good to see you.
You look a lot better during the day than you do at night. Let me tell you.
Is that Bernie Lomax?
I can't say that about you. You look like $1 million right now.
Guy walks into the bar last night, got a face for radio. And I was like, wow, look at him. Now look at him.
You should see Sandsy holding court around the bar. The amount of people that were like, Steve Sands.
Stop. What's the matter with you?
People were buzzing about Sandsy being there last night.
That is so not true.
That is 100% accurate.
That's all we heard tonight. That's all we heard.
Right when I saw the guys, I'm like, I saw Sandsy.
Where do you think he's most popular? Like, where do you think Sandsy? You know, hockey players up here in Canada.
Yeah.
They cause a stir. What market, Sandsy, do you cause the most stir? Is it down in Florida, or where's the most golf watching population?
Nowhere.
No, that's not true.
Come on,
you walk
I'm
into
just
a golf
clown
galaxy.
in the circus, man.
No. You walk into a golf galaxy in Orlando.
That's different.
With your Golf Channel quarter zip, people are fainting.
I will say.
No, they say, Sandsy, look at my stroke.
The greatest part of this job, I think it's amazing. I've been very lucky in my life. I've called every sport, all of them. The most amazing thing about golf is when you call golf the way we do, people just assume you're a 2.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So I do speed skating in the Olympics. It's not as if I'm lacing up the skates and doing the 500
I can't
meters.
imagine. Do people say to you, like, check out my takeaway?
I cannot tell you how many times I just walk around and people go, hey, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't break 90 for God's sake.
Oh, man. It's great to see you again, Sandsy.
You too, buddy.
And,
you too.
listen,
Thanks for the shot last night.
Well, anytime,
wait, we
man.
bought it.
You
Wait
did
a second.
buy it.
We
And I
bought it.
dodged
you
it.
bought it. Wow.
Well, these guys were setting up shot. Like, they are absolutely crushing it. And did you enjoy yourself day one up here in Hamilton?
It was great. You know what's cool is you guys know how much of a hockey fan I am.
Yeah.
To come up here and to watch
the Oilers
Canadian.
game last
I know
night.
the Leafs aren't alive, but to watch a Canadian team in a Canadian sports bar.
Yeah.
I know they don't care about the Oilers over here, but the whole country's rooting for the Oilers, right?
Well, people
For the most part.
they're
For
engaged
McDavid,
by
for
them.
McDavid.
For McDavid.
The McDavid legacy conversation. It's more compelling to have them alive.
Is Johnson Wagner a hockey fan?
He
No.
was into it a little bit last night. Like Johnson was he was trying to pretend that he knew what he was
Johnson
talking
doesn't
about.
care about hockey.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about hockey.
He just loves talking golf, man.
Let me tell you something.
He can't wait to talk about
I
golf.
had a plan today, to bring a case of Pepsi and just put it right here on the desk. Since you guys blame me for dropping
that invoice, we're still waiting for it.
I see the new computers here. I'm glad. It's nice.
It's all good. It's all good.
I guess we're a Coca-Cola company because we only had Diet Cokes and Cokes, no Pepsis, and I figured it had to be a Pepsi.
It's all good. It's all good. We appreciate you doing this, the annual event, here at the RBC Canadian Open.
What a day.
Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Course looks great. And like we were talking about, we've been buzzing about McIlroy, who it was like he was out with us last night.
He was with you guys.
Yeah, he was out with us last night. He shoots 400. He goes, we're into the red wine, a little bit groggy. Like that seems like a pretty significant flex. Like wait until I'm sober and on good sleep, I'm going to torch this place.
Yeah, he played early today.
Yes.
And he was drinking the red wine. Imagine if he stays in tonight and gets to sleep in tomorrow and what he'll do tomorrow afternoon. We can't wait to see him tomorrow afternoon in our window. When a guy plays well in the morning, like Rory McIlroy, biggest star in the field, outside of the Canadian players, and then he has something to play for, tomorrow afternoon trying to get up that leaderboard, it'll be a lot of fun. McIlroy loves this golf course. I know it's changed a lot, in the 5 years when he won it here in Hamilton, but the golf course suits him perfectly. Not that any golf course doesn't, but his game is awfully sharp right now.
Sandsy, he really has, Tiger, it's difficult with him because he's just different level everything, but McIlroy, his peers really look up to him, and he has the respect of these guys because you can hear them talking, and then they're like, well, if Rory did that or if Rory decided to take that line, like they talk about him like it's just a completely different level, which it is.
He's probably the best player in the last 15 years. So if you count 2011 when he won his first major at Congressional, remember he blew the Masters.
Killed everyone.
Had a very difficult time at the Masters on that back nine, starting on the 10th hole. Blew that lead. And then he came right back in the next major championship 8 weeks later and won outside of D.C. at Congressional. And then he won 3 more majors from 11 to 14. He had 26 victories, 4 major championships, including a Players, all that Ryder Cup experience. He's been the best player overall. There have been better players at times right now. Scotty Scheffler, there's been John Rahm before. There have been other players. Spieth went on his run. Thomas went on his run. But over the course of his professional career, He's been the best. And these guys recognize that nothing, and you know this better than anybody at this table, the respect of your peers in the sport you play, when it's immense like that, you can feel it from both sides.
And even moving the rock, like people are saying he's not slowing down the way he's driving the golf ball, like it's going even farther. And his colleagues are just amazed by how far he's hitting the rock.
You ever stood next to him?
No, he's like 5'10".
Tops.
He's not even 5'10"?
5'10". I'll take the under for the table limit.
Yes.
If that's the case. He's not 5'10". And he is, he's built, but he just makes a move and makes a pass on it. That's just outrageous.
Yeah.
It's perfection. It's perfection.
It is a great, great golf sport.
Like I mentioned yesterday, I was out on the Pro-Am with Adam Hadwin, and he mentioned, unprovoked, he's talked about on the first hole, they put the bunkers in because of McIlroy.
Yeah.
Because he said Rory 5 years ago was just launching golf balls at the green. It's like 370.
Do you remember when Tiger was
in Houston, he hit
the
the green on 18 in the match play with a driver on 18.
Remember when Tiger was rolling through the Masters in his heyday, and they Tiger-proofed, quote-unquote, Tiger-proofed Augusta?
Right.
It's not the same here at Hamilton Golf and Country Club, but they did talk about what McIlroy did 5 years ago and how they made the changes to come here. The thing about Adam that I thought was interesting, I talked to Adam earlier today, too, about a lot of different things, but when guys talk about McIlroy, there's a reverence there that you don't hear from some of the other great players in the last 5, 6, 7 years. They just don't have that. I guess it's the longevity of his greatness. But McIlroy not only is a great player, guys, if you've ever been around him, he's a wonderful guy. He's very, very bright. Among the great players in the sport, he's as smart and as cool and as fun. You could talk to him about anything, from politics to sports and anything in between. He's a fantastic dude.
So what role is he going to play in this moving forward? Because he was so outspoken originally, PGA Live and all that.
A year ago we were here.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
we were
Toronto.
here talking about it at Oakdale, and the year before was at St. George's, and that's when everything kind of was starting for Live Golf.
Yeah.
And then he's a part of the committee. Now he's not on the committee. Like where does McIlroy fit in 2 or 3 years, wherever this is going, as a spokesman, as a face of it all? Because his game's not going to slow down.
I think Rory learned a valuable lesson. He put himself out there, got burned a little bit. Now he's going to take a half step back. He has the cachet in the game to be the man out front. He certainly can handle that type of pressure, that type of situation. But when the rug gets taken out from beneath him, then it's time to step back. And I think he realized that. He did not, like a year ago when we sat at the table at the other golf course, you talked about Oakdale. He was not a happy camper as to what took place earlier in the week. Because I think I came up here on the Thursday or Friday like last year, and that was on the Wednesday of that week. And it's, it's just not great. Not great for him to be out there doing that. And it's not cool to put someone out there like that, ask him to be the face and the voice of it all, and then kind of take it away from him a little bit without him knowing. I don't think he dug that. It was not a well-oiled machine there when that all took place.
Sandy, we've been asking everybody, like, if you could fast forward a year and a half, like, what do you think things are going to look like? Because it seems like there was this big, we're going to come together and we're going to merge, but it's kind of been delayed and it's slow moving. What the hell do you think happens here?
I think it's more than delayed, but I think there's a big chasm there between the sides. I think that the PGA Tour side is, this is how we play golf. This is the way we want to conduct our business.
Well, who needs who more?
Depends. Depends how you look at it. My mother used to say all the time, the answer to all your questions is money. So money, among other things in life, money is undefeated. And money, clearly, from the Saudis, is endless, and the PIF and Live, and that's not going to stop if they choose to not stop. Now, they could get bored. They could say, well, what are we doing here? They could say, we're not getting the reach, we're not getting the output, we're not getting the recognition here. Let's move on to something else. That could happen. I've been told by some people that it would be better for the PGA Tour to play the long game and just say, hey, we're good for now.
We'll let you fizzle out.
You guys know. But you need those top 12, 15, 20 players to stay put. So that's hard to do when they're dangling that kind of money out there. I don't have any problem with the guys who took the money. I told you that last year. It's their prerogative. If someone's going to offer us the four of us, $150 million to move across the street to do another station or another place to work, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I think for legacy and the game, I think that the PGA Tour model is different. 54 holes, music, shorts, not really on TV, not really a worldwide audience.
No, it's terrible.
Not really sponsored. it's not the greatest product in the world. And I think those guys know that. I also think the people who run that league know that. PGA Tour, sitting back here, that chasm we talked about, they have no interest in team golf except for the President's Cup at Royal Montreal or the Ryder Cup. Maybe one event. But the Saudis and the PIF, they think the team concept is where the game is going. And on the individual side, from the PGA Tour standpoint, they do not. So you have the money. The other big thing is, how do you get these guys back? What I find interesting is this is the third year of LIV. These guys' contracts are up. Some of them contracts are up. Let's just take Brooks Koepka, for instance.
Yep.
It's a hypothetical, complete hypothetical.
Right.
He says to LIV, nope, I'm good. I don't want to re-sign. Now he wants to come in. Now he's not a LIV Tour member. He's just played the last 3 years there. He took the bag. Everybody understands that. But he's eligible to play in PGA Tour events if he gets reinstated. Will they allow him to be reinstated? Will they make him go back to Q school? Will they fine him? Will they suspend him for a year? I don't know. But let's just take him as one example. If he decides I've had enough of LIV and I want to get back into the golf ecosystem.
Well, you just mentioned the bag. How long is when they get the bag of money?
Deal.
Oh, it's just a 3-year deal there's the money.
Not all of them, but Brooks, Dustin, Phil, these the big numbers. Those were 3-year deals, I believe.
Would he have an idea though? Would he have an idea?
A lot of money.
Like would you do your research, or would he have an idea? Would he be accepted back in? So if LIV wants to re-sign him and he goes, I'm good, but he knows he's not going back to the PGA, or he knows he's going to face something, then he might re-sign, or
he would have to know what he would up against.
You have to know. Right? First of all, he's properly represented by Blake Smith, Randy Smith, the famous instructor's son, Blake Smith, who was the representative of Scotty Scheffler as well.
Okay.
So Brooks has Blake and his office taking care of things. If they're doing their due diligence,
right, which they are,
there's no way in the world that quietly, under the radar, they're not going to somebody at the tour and saying, okay, where do we stand if we decide to do this? And they have to do that quietly, obviously, because LIV and PIV, they're not going to be happy about that. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. Again, I'm using Brooks as an example of any of them, but I could see that being a plausible scenario from one of the big guys.
And I would argue, Steve Sands is with us. If I'm the PGA Tour, I am opening my arms and saying, come back.
Are you?
I would immediately. I think that would be a good look for them. And I'll tell you why. I would promote. He doesn't live sucks. He didn't like it. He went for 3 years. He can't wait to get back to the tour. And I would go to Brooks and say, I'm not going to penalize you privately. Publicly, you got to fall on the sword for you. No money, no suspension, no Q school. I need you on camera going out there saying, I missed the PGA Tour. And I came
love
back
every second
I
of
love
it.
the tour.
Yeah.
And they won't do it because they're vindictive and it's money and their feelings are hurt. If I'm Jay Monahan, I'm going to I'm recruiting. I'm calling Koepka, DJ, all of them saying, you guys come back. You can come back and you say, I'm back with the PGA Tour.
I agree with you, but you guys were talking about hockey before I came on, okay? Hockey, baseball, the NFL, the NBA, they have unions, okay? The players on the PGA Tour are not unionized. So
I hear you.
If the players who did not take the money go to Jay, it's a player-run tour, okay? This is not a union versus the owners in the 4-team sports in North America. This is a completely different scenario. So if the players go to Jay and go, hey, hold on a second. I didn't take the $100 million. I stayed put. I don't want that guy coming back. Jay cannot just unilaterally have him back. I agree with you that it would be amazing for Brooks Koepka in Hawaii in January to come out and sit at a podium and go, let me tell you something. LIV blows, and that's why I'm here.
Back.
And that's why I'm here.
Back.
All right?
Yeah.
I took the money. I was selfish. I had an injury. I shouldn't have done it. I'm happy to be wealthy beyond my means.
Best thing you could do.
That sucks. This is great. That's why I'm back. I just can't see how that happens.
I'm not saying I'm predicting that would happen. I'm saying that's what I would do in a perfect world. If I'm the PGA Tour, and this is where.
But what do you do if you're McIlroy and Tiger? You're turned down $800-500 million.
The crazy thing
is
they already have
$1 billion. They already have that in the bank.
But Tiger Woods
on principle, do you let him back?
Well, I mean, if they are believers that it's in the best interest of golf, which again we've all understood is phony and ridiculous. Rahm said they all said it. But if you are about your tour and what's in the best interest of golf, and hey, we got to figure this out. And McIlroy said that. He's like, we got to stop this garbage. Then PGA Tour prevails. Best players come back. LIV Golf will take a massive hit.
Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
the NHL is rolling along. I mean, Connor has this team playing very well, and he's a big star. Austin here in Toronto, obviously, is a ridiculous star. For some reason, let's say the Saudis decide they want to open up hockey.
There already is one, Sansi, the KHL, and everyone was going to. Everyone was saying they're going to offer boatloads of money.
This is different
because they actually.
I understand. This is different. They actually have the cash. This isn't fake money. This is actually real money that they can produce.
Yeah.
Let's say they turn the spigot on to hockey, and Connor and Austin left. What would people in this country think?
Well,
that's what Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka and those guys and Phil Mickelson are to golf. What if those two stars in this country, in this sport that's so beloved, decided they're going to go elsewhere and take the money?
Listen,
and then 3 years later, they say, you know what, this league sucks. I want to come back.
Oh, there's no question they would hate their guts.
They would absolutely, but it would be different because you got to follow through on the full analogy that the NHL is actually at risk. I think if McDavid and Matthews left, the NHL would just be like, we're a team sport, and no one's watching hockey in Australia or so. Like it's, that's the difference is LIV has actually taken a chunk out of the tour.
They have.
Like they've made them really vulnerable.
They've punished the tour.
Yes. Now, if McDavid and Matthews leaving made them vulnerable, then that's a different story. But I don't know. I mean, I think collectively we just want to get to a point where, like, you just have the best players playing. You want to stop with all the different stuff.
They are so far apart right now, guys.
It's crazy.
They are so far apart. They have completely different thought processes as to how to come together and how the game should come together. And I don't see it coming together anytime soon.
So who's the guy that does bring it together? Is it Tiger Woods?
He's tried. He hasn't yet. I mean, again, you're talking about so much money.
Yep.
It's really, really difficult to tell an individual in an individual sport without a union what to do. You know how unions work. You know how this goes. I remember when Albert Pujols signed with the Angels, and it broke everybody's heart in St. Louis. And Albert didn't even want to go, but he kind of had to go because the agents and the union are like, hang on a second, the next great first baseman needs to get paid. If you take less money to stay, that's going to hurt the market. That's different than golf. Golf doesn't have that. There is no union. There is no pressure from one centerman on the ice to another centerman on the ice. You know, the next contract that McDavid signs is arguably the most important contract to every other player coming after him in NHL history. And, you know, that's the kind of rub those guys have in team sports. In this sport, that's not the case. Koepka takes his money. Dustin Johnson takes his money. Phil Mickelson takes his money. Cam Smith takes his money. That's not taking away money, quote unquote, to the guys who stayed. It's a very different scenario.
It is
in this
more
sport.
complex.
It's very complex, but they are far apart right now. They are not close.
Well, listen, we got golf going all weekend.
Yeah, it's great.
Sam Burns shot the lights out today. That would be a cool story if Burns gets back into the winner's circle, right?
It'd be awesome. It's funny. I was on the practice putting green earlier, and I was walking back to the booth before we came on the air, and Gary Woodland walked by us, and I said, "Hey, Gary is a great guy." I said, "Gary, how'd it play out there? What'd you do?" He goes, even par. He goes, "Man, I thought it was really tough." But I was playing with Sam Burns, who was not playing the same golf course I was playing because it was much easier for him. Sam Burns played great. Sean O'Hare.
Yeah.
Sean O'Hare.
Cool.
You know how he got
alternate.
You know how he got in? So Davis Riley wins last week.
Right.
A lot of guys win on the PGA Tour and don't play the following week just for whatever reason. You know, to whatever they're going to do. Maybe they just drink their faces off. Hopefully they just go out and have a good time and hang out with Brian at the bar and just kind of hang out. So anyway, he withdraws. Sean O'Hare drives. Do you hear the story?
No, I didn't know he drove.
Sean O'Hare drove 5.5 hours from Lubbock, Texas to Dallas, hops on a plane, gets here last night, drives over, gets a couple of winks, comes to the golf course, has never seen it,
7
which
under.
Doesn't sound like a lot to people who are watching or to people like us.
Crazy.
But these guys, they're not just out here with a couple of beers in their carts practicing. They're out here, charting the golf course, doing that whole thing. So I text him during the show. I say, "Hey, Sean, practice rounds are overrated, huh?"
Unbelievable.
I mean,
what a story.
Awesome.
Incredible.
What a story.
By the way, the last of his 4 wins was the Canadian Open in 2011.
Let's bring it back, man. Let's get that story going.
Cool.
I love it. Sanzi, great seeing you, buddy, as always.
You too.
Will
you see tonight?
I'm out of here, man. I've been in Hamilton for 2 nights. I'm going home.
Rangers, Panthers.
I know. Korolnik.
Mavericks and Wolves.
You realize Aaron Korolnik is waiting for you guys right now. Like, Korolnik he was texting me earlier. He's like, make sure Sanzi's going to be at the spot tonight. Like, I'll make sure they're going to be at the spot.
What time does that guy wake up every day?
He gets up at like 4 a.m.
And I mean, That's impressive.
It is impressive. He'll be on his best behavior.
From what I
tonight.
saw last night, it's impressive.
It's very impressive. It's very impressive. Great seeing you, buddy.
You too, fellas. Great
Steve
show.
Sands of
awesome.
NBC and the Golf Channel. Pierre LeBrun still to come. Our best bets as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Coverage of the RBC Canadian Open on TSN 1050 brought to you by Subaru, embracing spring weather with the Subaru All-Weather Drive event. Visit your local Subaru to book a test drive today. Pierre LeBrun, our TSN Hockey Insider, here in just a moment. Thanks again to Steve Sands. Always great catching up with Sandsy. We're live at...
Love having Sandsy on.
Sandsy's a beautician, man. Yeah. He's a great guy. They do a great job there on the Golf Channel. And it's been a beautiful day here in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like, the weather is just...
Perfect.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be great weather throughout the weekend, which is really what you ask for, right? Like, I was talking about it when I went down to Augusta. It's like booking an outdoor wedding.
Yeah.
If it rains that day, it rains. There's no turning things around. If it's bad weather out here, it changes the whole vibe. Weather's been great today.
Yeah.
And hopefully, again, it looks like it's going to be really good the rest of the way. Pierre LeBrun here in just a moment. What are we thinking for this Rangers-Panthers game tonight? Because they've just gone back and forth, just like in the West.
But wouldn't you think there would be one game coming up with the way, like if you look, and I am not stats guy, just like attempts and like owning the puck and owning the game, you would think that Florida would eventually dummy them one night, where Shesterkin just says, guys, that's enough. I think that's coming tonight. I think Florida wins big.
You think Florida wins big tonight?
Wow. I do. Dude, have you not watched them dominate the games? And it's Shesterkin. And it's like, man, the Rangers are playing really good. Are they?
Well, I think they get some pretty good opportunities throughout the game. I think they do a pretty good job of countering. It's like caved in,
they do
2-on-1.
Like they'll be quick strike, power play, they score.
Yeah. So, all right, you're on the Panthers tonight. Here's our TSN Hockey Insider, Pierre LeBrun. Do you see it the same way, Pierre? Is it all Florida all the time tonight on Broadway?
I do.
Ooh.
I do. In fact, I think the Rangers were lucky to beat Carolina, to be quite honest.
Really?
Yeah.
They were outplayed for long stretches of that series. Now, it's kind of like, this reminds me of the conversations we all used to have on your show when Carey Price would bring the half team in the playoffs. It's like, well, they're not really that good a team, but they got Carey Price.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Rangers are a better team than that, don't get me wrong. But Shesterkin can cover up for a lot, just like Carey Price did. I mean, he's that good, man. And boy, the other night, I was starting to wonder if Shesterkin was getting in the heads of the Panthers there in the first half of that game. Passing up grade A's, looking for that extra pass. That's what Carey Price used to do to the teams, man. And I was like, uh-oh. But Florida stayed with it, and that was a huge win for them because, again, they outplayed the Rangers 5-on-5. And finally got the result that they deserved. And I'm with O-Dog. I think they go into MSG tonight and say, hello, here we are.
Well, on the other side of it, too, you got a guy in Bobrovsky that is more than capable of also stealing a game if he has to. Like if in other words, if Florida, let's say they don't play with the same possession numbers or energy or aggressiveness, Bob can steal a game.
Yeah, he can.
He can steal multiple games.
Yeah.
And
might have to.
Well, to win a cup, he's going to have to at some point. And he already has. They've won 10 games in the playoffs. I'm sure you could go back on a couple of those and say, that was Bobrovsky. He played brilliantly. But to get to the finish line here, he's going to have to steal a game or two.
Right.
It's just the nature of the position, Pierre.
Yeah, and that's what – and I'm not trying to pile on to Freddie Anderson, but that was certainly the difference last round. Game 6 in particular in Carolina. Come on. I mean, that's a game the Hurricanes should have won all night. And they got – they got the goaltender.
They got Freddie.
And in this case, that's a great point by you. And it's why I was so confident of the Panthers' chances in this series that I thought Bobrovsky could at least just be at the same measure, at least to some level, of Shesterkin. But I will tell you, Shesterkin's be even greater than I anticipated in this series. Like, he honestly, this is one of the great playoff goaltending series in a long time in the NHL for me, what we've seen from Shesterkin.
I agree. I think Shesterkin's been unbelievable. But that's the one beauty of it. Even if you look at the underlying numbers, I know Florida's killed them. But it's not like the Rangers had just been sitting back and just getting caved in and not trying. Like, I think the Rangers have another gear, too, because What if Panarin? What if Zibanejad? Those guys get going. Kreider, if they end up, they could have a night. I'm not counting the Rangers out on this, Pierre. I think the Florida's been, kind of overall the better team, but it's 2-2. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Yeah, and listen, there's some good stories on the Rangers, despite being outplayed. I mean, the play of Lafrenière that's a huge story. I mean, well, that's the way it sounded.
How's it pronounced again? Say it again.
Alexis Lafrenière, la première étoile, the first star.
I love it.
Playing good, Pierre. You got to give the kid that. Everyone was like, "Oh, this guy's a bust. He's playing damn good hockey."
Yeah. So if they exactly, and to Noodle's point, if you can, one guy you didn't mention is Chris Kreider, Noodles, but boy, playoff Chris Kreider, what we're used to seeing, and we saw it last round. If he shows up tonight and Zibanejad, et cetera, yeah, it's a different Rangers team. We just haven't seen it. I mean, 5-on-5, the ice has been tilted. So, yeah, looking forward to watching that tonight.
With Pierre LeBrun, our TSN Hockey Insider, the Oilers must win last night. They deliver. Full credit to them. And, it started in similar fashion to what Dallas was looking at in Game 3. They're down 2-0 quick. Skinner's kind of flopping around. Nurse is on for both. The second one goes off him and in. And yet, I love the way the Oilers played after that. I thought collectively that might have been the best 50 minutes they've played the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
They gave up nothing for the most part. A chance here or there.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a real statement by the Oilers.
It was like they were pushed to the brink where it was like, if we don't get out of this right now, it could be game over.
Yeah.
And it was like the last second thing saying, guys, it's now or never. And they were pushed to the brink, and they responded, Pierre, with an unbelievable effort.
I totally agree, and I tweeted about it last night. I rarely do that, but there was a bit of emotion there just because I thought what we watched was one of the great moments in the McDavid era for that Oilers team.
Sure,
they could have easily packed that in and said, you know what, we're just not good enough, and it looked bleak, down 2-0, no shots on goal. The building's suddenly quiet, and the Stars are doing their thing. Remember, the Stars never lose on the road. And the way they rallied and played their best hockey of the entire playoffs in that moment, with everything stacked against you, that's what you want your team. If you're a fan of that team, that's what you talk about with your buddies. Is the best version of our team going to show up when it matters most?
Yes.
You can say it all day, but it's
can
rare.
You do it?
It's rare. It reminds me of when Colorado finally figured it out 2 years ago. Nathan McKinnon, right? And that's what last night felt like. It was like, whoa, this is next level here. McDavid, Draisaitl was possessed last night.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It doesn't mean they ultimately win this series. They're playing a heck of a team, but that felt like an aha moment to me. Okay? And so let's see where it goes. And, of course, the other huge story within last night is the loss of Chris Tanev for Dallas. And Pete DeBoer, who met reporters today, I was just looking at the updates, had no update on Chris Tanev, very tight-lipped. Don't have to tell you guys. I mean, Chris Tanev has been the one-man shutdown guy in the playoffs. Shut down Jack Eichel, helped shut down McKinnon. Not totally, but you know what I mean. He's been the matchup guy, and if he can't go tomorrow night, holy. As deep as the Stars are, there's a reason they felt they had to go get Chris Tanev at the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to go back, Pierre. Who are you most happy for on the Edmonton Oilers roster from that game last night? Because there were some guys. I'll give you. We were talking about Connor Brown.
Yeah, I love this game.
I was happy for the goaltender, Noodles.
Well, I was happy for Skinner too, and Darnell Nurse and that, but I just think Connor Brown's just a great story because he's taken so much heat this season, didn't score until basically the end of the season. He's kind of been in and out of the lineup, but he's got a 3-game point streak going, but he looks like the Connor Brown that we saw here and grew up watching here with the Maple Leafs and how
that just goes to show you as an organization, guys, there's some guys you got to be patient with and say this is going to be worth the wait. We have to stay patient because his game will eventually come. Let's not forget he had a pretty big injury.
He missed the whole season.
Yeah.
Missed the whole season.
But to be patient with him, it's worth it.
I was just going to say, Dog, the recovery time from that injury, despite what you want in your heart, as a player and athlete, it just seems to take longer than the athlete wants every time in all sports, not just hockey.
Yeah, but Pierre, let's not kid ourselves. He didn't play well. Not scoring in that amount of time, that's just not good enough, and he knows that.
No, he was, and he played so lousy that and this is what I'm getting at. When I was at Edmonton first round, I remember coming in after the last practice before the opening game of the playoffs when it was clear from watching line rushes that Connor Brown was going to be a healthy scratch. And it was a bit of a kind of a buzz moment at the time because he had actually started playing well near the end of the regular season, but, Holloway is playing so well. And that was sort of the story of the day, especially for those who covered the Oilers. And I remember going up to Connor after the cameras were gone and just saying, he's like, yeah, that's tough, man. You could just see it on his face. But didn't say a word, no peep from him, team first. And the message from him was, my time will come. And boy, did I think of that last night when he sets up the shorty. That was just such a great play. And he just looks like he's got his burst back. He looks like the Connor Brown of old.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a great story. We love Connor Brown. Friend of the show.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Friend of the show. We love Connor Brown. All right, Pierre, enjoy it tonight, buddy. We'll do it again soon.
Right on. Busy month ahead, boys. We'll stay in touch, but off to a couple of days in Buffalo with the Combine next year, or next week where all the GMs and agents will be, and then I'm off to the Cup Final, which apparently they've decided to play over 74 days. And
Pierre, talk to them.
In Vegas.
I know you're a stickler on the schedule. Can you talk to somebody? That's insane, man.
I know. Listen, tomorrow's May 31st, and you know what I've always said for years, boys? That's when they should be awarding the Stanley Cup.
No kidding. But why doesn't anyone else buy into that? I don't care. I don't want to hear it's US TV. Give me something better. Talk to somebody. This has got to be fixed.
I have no power, but I've been trying for years. We need OverDrive to get on it.
All right, we'll push for it.
The real power is.
It officially starts today, our push for a May Cup final.
Yep.
All right? We're on the case.
All right.
Thanks, Pierre.
All right, boys.
Pierre LeBrun, our TSN Hockey Insider. We'll come back with our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. Put a cap on the first official day of the RBC Canadian Open. We've been here all week, but guys are on the course. A lot of guys wrapping up right now, but we've had a couple of great rounds. Sean O'Hare, last man in the tournament, 7 under. Sammy Burns, 7 under. Bob McIntyre, 6 under, I believe.
Bobby Mack, good for him.
Bob McIntyre out here as a lefty, slinging it around the golf course, so we love seeing that. And, David Skins.
Ooh.
The Skin Man is 7 under.
Gray-haired Skins?
And he's still out there. So a full recap of a busy afternoon. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. One bet, Florida Panthers. Money line, minus 128. A little bit of juice on that, which, again, it's a road team. It's a road team, but that's not a ton of juice for a team that I'm buying what you're selling. I like the Panthers tonight.
There you go.
So I'm on the Panthers outright tonight. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. FanDuel's goal in the first 10 minutes is the most electric bet in hockey and can be included in a same-game parlay on any NHL game. Please play responsibly. Must be 19 plus. Physically located in Ontario.
Is that your own thought, or did I talk you into it?
You talked me into it. Like, I have seen a yo-yo effect, and plus money on the Rangers at home is very compelling, but that's got me thinking, like, what does FanDuel see here also? That you got to pay a little juice for the road team.
Sniffing on it. They're sniffing on Florida.
Well, Florida's been the better team.
Yeah.
I'm on Florida tonight.
Yeah.
So we survived the Thursday here at the RBC Canadian Open.
Weirzy, big story. Weirzy.
-2.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
shoot par tomorrow, and you're into the weekend.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
Dude,
that's what we're
screw
looking
that.
for.
What do you think?
Shoot
the cut
300
line?
tomorrow.
Sure, that'd be great. But
What's the cut line, you think?
I don't
par?
know. I think it's even par, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, he'll make it.
Yeah.
He's our guy.
Yeah, we love it. We love Mike Weir. We support Mike Weir. We support the whole story that is Weirzy chasing the weekend here at the RBC Canadian Open. And we'll be here tomorrow afternoon. McIlroy will be out in the afternoon. Mike Weir will be out.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great afternoon. We can't wait for it.
Yep.
So thanks to everyone who's been here all day. A lot of people stopping by to say hi. Everyone that joined us around the table, our buddy Steve Sands, the Hall of Famer James Duthie, Bobby Weeks was here. We had a great one today.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. As always, we appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today, TV, radio, podcast, web, we appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Shout out to everyone at Nature's Den or Nature's
Call.
Nature's Call.
Yeah.
They are great people, and we respect them. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.